you mentioned earlier, now I mentioned to you about investment from outside and how that works, because there'll be a lot of companies at the moment, and it's well documented at the moment in the market, about companies looking at the bad debt market and thinking, actually, I've got an opportunity to swallow up companies. We talked about the Mike Ashley of retail. What would you advise companies out there, or resellers and partners out there, that are thinking about getting investment but aren't sure who to go with and what investment to do?
I think two things. I would get a really good advisor. There's some really great companies out there that help you navigate that conversation. And then get your wish list of what you're looking for in your partner. I think that's really important. Ultimately what you get with an investor, and I'm lucky to have worked with lots of different types of investors, whether they're a majority investor, minority, what you get is a partner. You also get scrutiny.
Yeah.
So you got to pick somebody, that's going to fit you, right? The money is not what you're trying to get. That's the funding mechanism. What you are trying to get is a good partner to help you grow your business. So start there. Is there a good cultural fit? And, we've gone through that process recently at Redstor last year. And, top of our list was a partner that we felt would be somebody that would back our plan and that would buy into management's plan and would help us grow and would bring expertise and value to the table. Yes, tick, prepared to pay and invest, but those three things were top of the list. And so I would say, if you're out there looking for investment, be brutal with your list and be prepared to walk away.
Yeah. And on that partner, when you're looking for a partner, how do you know? Again, you have to take a leap of faith at some point, but how, you mentioned earlier, or when we were at lunch, around, referenceability and people they know in the market. If you were looking for a partner and there was resellers out there that were looking for a partner and thinking, actually, I've identified what my problem is, I need to get some experience in maybe the complementary experience, how do you recognise that you've got the right person? Is it still a leap of faith for it?
It's ultimately a little bit of a leap of faith.
Yeah.
Because you're selling, we're selling. As you're going through an investment process, it's like dating. You start with the online profile and you're both £30 lighter, and as you get towards actually doing the deal, which is where most deals collapse, you spent more time together, you're getting married, you're living together at that point. You're sharing a little bit more, so you got to do your referencing. Bad vibes leave footprints, right? And bad experiences leave footprints. So use LinkedIn, look at the portcos they've worked with, go find people that have worked in those. Outside of the references that they will offer you, of course they will always offer you references, but I would go and find people in your network who have worked in those portcos and just ask them, what was it like? And form your own view, just as diligence.
And what would you see, and you've obviously gone through the experience, let's talk about the plus side. You get an investor in, whether it's a majority or a major one, and there is more scrutiny. What is the plus side? Where do you see is the benefits for some of these partners that could get investment?
Yeah, I love working with private equity investors. So personally, I'm drawn to private equity-backed businesses because I think what you find in private equity businesses is they back their investments really aggressively. So, if they invest on the basis of, we think it's an opportunity, we think we're going to grow your business, they will absolutely get behind you. And what I found with the best PE firms is when something works, going back to them and saying, okay, we want to scale this thing up, they'll throw in quite heavily with that. And that's a great position to be in. The other thing is the expertise and the brain power and the network. So again, with the private equity firms, they have benches of people, operating partners, who are experts in particular fields, who've got massive track records of growing businesses, and they're a phone call away. So really tapping into that knowledge, that expertise. And then the portfolio, they're not just working with one business, they'll be working with 30 or 40 businesses at a time, and obviously will constantly be working. So they know what good looks like, and they know what best practice looks like. So, if you wanted to pick their brains on, hey, how are your other portfolio companies bringing people back to the office? Or, your other company's seeing a downturn, that sort of thing. Again, they're just a phone call away. So you're sort of supercharging your intellect and strapping on some of the best brains in the industry. And that's why I love working in PE.
Yeah, Absolutely. So let's bring it up to date. Let's bring you up to date in terms of what you're doing now, because you joined Redstor as their Chief Product Officer. Now, for those that don't know what a Chief Product Officer is it a fancy title? Tell me what you were actually doing.
What I was actually doing, well, when I joined, I was Chief Product Officer, so I was building a product management team. So Redstor effectively didn't have a product management team, so Paul asked me to come on board, and Paul's the co-founder, asked me to come on board and build a product management team that could connect the engineering team to the market. So what does the market really want? Where's the market going? Product management team has to sort of translate that and get the engineering team on board to build it. So that was my first sort of 6 months. And then latterly I then took over engineering. So I actually become the sort of, I'd wear two hats, CPO, CTO, running the engineering team down in South Africa. So having control really of what and why we're building it through to how we build it. It's great fun because the team in South Africa is a brilliant team. And I've enjoyed going backwards and forwards for mostly the last year, quite frankly.
And then you got the opportunity to become interim CEO. So that must have been a big challenge now to sort of go from a product-based role into a people-based role.
Yeah, I mean, it is a people-based role. It's a role in terms of the raw skills that, I've spent my entire career building all the raw skills, running sales, marketing, tech, product, even finance, without a finance background. So in terms of the raw skills, for me, the step didn't feel unnatural, didn't feel like a difficult step to make. But actually what's been really interesting, in product and to a degree in sales, it's very driven by, product's very driven by what's the next feature, how do we deliver it, innovation culture. What I've felt sitting in the CEO seat is the culture sits on my shoulders. So every day is a people discussion of sorts. How do we create the best environment for our people? What do we need to do to get out of their way? Are they being managed effectively? Are they being developed effectively? How is the culture really sticking? All of those are the types of questions that I'm now spending time answering versus, what date are we going to have X feature?
Yeah. And how, James, how do you answer those questions? Because there'll be a lot of owners out there, me included. I've thought about how do I manage people? How do I manage a culture? How do you come to those answers? Do you have to ask yourself tough questions, or where do you come to?
Well, the great thing is I have to ask other people tough questions. Have to ask other people tough questions. I mean, the fact is I don't know the answers. Yeah. I really don't know the answers. So, we've got a great team at all levels in Redstor. So asking the team, in fact, just spent the last 2 weeks reading through the employee engagement survey we've done and really trying to get under the skin of, okay, you score really highly on that, but is that true? And then spending time with the team and getting out and listening really before forming an opinion. I think what I've heard from the team at Redstor is when you do form an opinion, be really crystal clear on what action you're going to take. So that's where I am at the moment, is solving it as a group. Because ultimately, although the culture sits on my shoulders, it's owned by the people that work in the company. So it can't be what I call PowerPoint culture. The CEO stands up at the town halls and says, we're going to be this. And everybody goes back to the desk and goes, yeah, great, we'll see that in 2 months' time at the next town hall. It has to be something that's driven by the team and lived by the team. So it has to be something they feel that they've been part of building.
Did you have challenges with obviously going from the chief product officer to doing that sort of role? Did you have challenges sort of making sure and getting that feedback from the team? Because I'm presuming you weren't really doing that sort of role before and getting feedback from the whole company.
Not from the whole company, no. I mean, in engineering, we've been going through transformation over the last couple of years, particularly through COVID, actually, where we've really tried to change the culture. We've really tried to develop the talent, and that's all been about listening. And I think what we've got in engineering is fundamentally different to what I started with, in a good way. So there's a bit of rinse and repeat. But I think the biggest challenge for me is actually everything I know about Redstor has been formed from sitting in the CPO seat. So every opinion I've had has been formed on that basis. And some of them are wrong or off the mark. So unlearning those biases is a process that I'm consciously aware of. And also debranding. I'm seen as the product guy.
Yeah.
And we're investing heavily in product-led growth. But that's actually a business strategy piece. That is not the product team driving Redstor. That's Redstor investing in a product-led growth strategy, so we have lots of channels to market. So debranding as the product guy, trying to remove those biases and almost relearning everything I know about the business very, very quickly, which is really fun.
Yeah, and challenging, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've seen my CV, and 3 years is probably one of the longest roles I've held. I don't like to stay in one role for a long time. Never have done. So actually, I'm really enjoying that whole, I'm the new guy. I get to ask all the stupid questions and form completely new opinions based on a different point of view. It's actually quite good fun. It's mentally tiring. So I'm tired at home when I finally get home, but it's brilliant. I'm learning so much that I never knew about the company that I've been a director of for nearly 3 years.
Fantastic. Let's bring it up to a few current affairs, because Computer Centre just announced a set of strong results, and I read an article with Graham Watt, who also was positive about the opportunities for growth at Softcat. Now, they are the two big partners in the UK. How worried are you about the sort of current headwinds in the economy? Are you seeing positive signs? Are you cautious, or what's your view yourself?
Really positive, actually. Yeah, we're growing, not just in revenue terms, but we are hiring quite aggressively, particularly in South Africa as well. We're expanding R&D. So I'm really positive on the opportunity. I think one of the things I've learned about so long in tech, think back to Fasthosts, we grew that business right in the middle of a dot-com bust. At Star, which I really have got a huge place in my heart for my time at Star. That was in the middle of the, I don't know what we call it now, but Northern Rock went bust and the massive financial meltdown. We grew that business. So what I've come to learn is there's always opportunity. You just need to know how to connect with it. Because also I've been part of businesses that should have grown a lot faster during boom times and they didn't. It comes down to, are you delivering value and are you running your business well? That's really important. And I think what's happened recently is the basics of business that sort of fell out of fashion, to be honest, for a few years. They're actually back on the table and they're really, really important. So there's businesses that never sort of got involved with the fads and they just ran really, really good businesses. They're the ones I think that are really well positioned to take advantage of growth. And I put Redstor firmly in that category. Redstor's always been ran not by fads and trends, to have the fundamentals correct. And frankly, there's just a load of people out there that have over-invested in their businesses, lost sight of that, and they're having to shed some costs now. And that sends out bad vibes. But the economic signals are strong. FTSE's at its highest or riding high again, so confidence is back in the market. And just from a selfish perspective and what we do at Redstor, what we do is higher up people's priority list than ever before. Higher up the channels list than ever before. It's an essential tool. It's generally part of a ring-fence budget. You can't not back up your data. Most people can't even get cyber insurance without it. You can't, even general business insurance. You can't not have business insurance. So we're seeing really, really strong positive signs. And I think this is going to be one of Redstor's best ever years.
Fantastic.